You're with us here on BTTV. Let's take a look at the markets and how we're doing this Thursday morning, what the overnight setup is looking like and how we're queued for trade this Thursday. Shell joining us as well. As always, Shell, good morning. What's the setup looking like today?
A very good morning to you, Aabha. It's not all that good. We've just come out of a holiday and we are headed into a weekend. So a bit of weakness on the Nifty, I would say. The 21 EMA is getting tested. But strength in Nifty Bank, strength in the realty space, PSU banking setup is looking amazingly strong. So banks, that means Nifty Bank is in top shape. But a bit of weakness coming into the Nifty, about 300 points down, 1% down in the pre-open, but this will improve. Overall, I think it's time for some rest as far as the main indices are concerned. We'll be looking out for individual stocks in the NBFC space, Aabha, on the long side.
Okay, you know, Shell, let me ask you a broader question for a moment. We crossed 26,000, now we're correcting a little bit. We know we've been a bit sideways overall. Festive season is kind of done. Are we still riding on that momentum or riding on the earnings momentum? Or are we now entering a period where markets are in wait and watch? What are the factors that we're looking forward to now?
Aabha, I think it's the earnings that are going to drive the market forward, and there are already green shoots that you might see some strength coming in. Remember, all of September and October, we've had a very strong rally on the Nifty. And now it's time for the other sectors, the mid caps, the small caps to catch up. So Nifty has flattened out. You can see the last 2 weeks performance. It's been caught in a narrow range. Bank Nifty, of course, is doing amazingly well because of the PSU banking setup, but now sector rotation is taking place and a lot of money is going into mid caps and small caps, especially in the NBFC space. I might be repeating myself, but a lot of strength coming into, you know, the AMC counters like IIFL, NAM India, HDFC AMC. So this is where the money is moving into on the long side. A quiet mode on the indices, but lots of action on mids and smalls. Aabha.
Okay. So which mids and smalls should we keep an eye on? Do we have a ready reckoner this morning, Shell?
Aabha, I would be very hopeful on Samman Capital, on Shriram Finance, on Muthoot Finance. Amongst the large caps, Bajaj is doing amazingly well, and of course the small ones like Capri Global. These are low ticket, high beta items. The overall sentiment in the market for NBFCs is very strong. So that's the way the cookie is at this point of time. Strength in financial services, super strength in PSU banking setup thanks to very strong earnings by SBI, and of course the Bank Nifty also looking fairly okay. 25,500 mostly should be defended by the bulls, Aabha.
All right, Gaurang Shah also joining us this morning. Gaurang, Shell is of course the ever optimist, as are you mostly, but let me get a more objective view this morning on just where we stand. I mean, we were all this while tracking 26,000, now we're looking at 25,000, however rosy Shell makes it sound. Are we in for a heightened period of consolidation?
Thank you so much, Aabha, for having me on the show this morning. Good morning to all the viewers, to you and to my good friend Shell. I think if you are not an optimistic, Aabha, you should stay away from the market. Because if you are a pessimistic, I think you are better off with Bank FD and PPF and whatever, you like it. So being an optimistic always pays off in the long run in stock markets. That's what I strongly believe in. And my sense is that 26,000 was achieved some time back. 26,100, in fact, we went to slightly above that and then we've recovered to the current levels of 25,500. I definitely concur with Shell's view that possibly 25,500 should be defended after a spate of correction that we've seen over the last couple of days. Of course, yesterday was holiday on account of Sri Guru Nanak Jayanti. We are back at tables this morning, work tables this morning and terminals. I think we should see a positive start. But 25,800 to 25,900, if we happen to go there either today or tomorrow, because tomorrow is again the last day, then we come back next week, then I think that should be a level where you will see a little bit of top heavy feeling. A small disclosure, Aabha, before we go any further, that all recommendations are a part of our research team recommendations. Our company, Jujit or I, do not have any personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we give advice to our clients on similar lines. They might have their investment interest. So I think we should see a positive start. And of course, not to forget, we have had the initiation of the Supreme Court hearing as far as the trade tariff in US is concerned. And we'll be watching that very carefully in terms of what the outcomes.
Okay, so yes, that continues to keep us on our toes. On the earnings front, Gaurang, anything particular that has stood out to you just in the last few days? SBI, Indian Hotels, anything else that you looked at from an earnings POV?
So here again, optimism paid off because a lot of people were underweight Aabha with respect to the earnings for the Q2, given the backdrop of events that had occurred and of course the lower expectation in Q2. But let me say this, I think we are almost halfway through the second quarter earnings. Whatever we've seen up till now, it is good that we have not seen any disappointment. Point number one. Point number two, in pockets where they expected earnings to be under the weather or below expectation, for example, IT delivered well. Certain FMCG companies, of course, the initiation of new avatar of GST 2.0 has just started to trickle in. That has also done quite well. So whatever we've seen up till now is good. Of course, the entire BFSI segment, as you mentioned and as Shell was mentioning, have reported much better. And I'm glad to see the gap between the public sector bank and private sector bank narrowing. So my sense is that I think the run rate should be better for the entire BFSI segment. Sectorally, our outlook positive in terms of future earnings remains BFSI segment, defense, cap goods engineering, capital market related stocks, cement, autos and power. So that's where I think you will see a lot of interest getting focused.
All right, so an entire gamut of stocks there. Shell, what's on your question list for Gaurang this morning?
A very good morning to him, Aabha. I have always believed that amongst the top three, the most well-dressed men on the Lal Street, there's always Gaurang Shah, and his better half is responsible for this wonderful attire that he's always on as far as the Lal Street is concerned and the television is concerned. Strength, Gaurang, and a very warm welcome. I would
you're both in red ties
request you
this
to
morning.
share your views on two very strong...
I don't know if you synced up on this.
We are trying to attract the bulls back on the Lal Street. So, Gaurang, a view on SBI and M&M, Mahindra and Mahindra, very, very strong earnings coming in, and we still haven't seen rural kicking in.
Shell, I think State Bank of India, Indian Bank, which is a mid-cap public sector bank, Bank of Baroda, delivered fantastic set. In fact, State Bank of India and Indian Bank were the first two public sector banks, Shell, that touched a new all-time high even before the delivery of Q2 numbers. Again, as a disclosure, we have positive coverage on State Bank of India, Indian Bank, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Canara Bank and PNB. And, the credit demand, Shell, is just started to pick up. I think as we go into the third and the fourth quarter in the next financial year, this credit demand is going to go up significantly, which will help the interest income to grow. And along with that, Shell, the most important thing that we have to realize is the asset quality is improving and provisionings are coming back to the balance sheet. So I think there are good days ahead for public sector banks. Select few public sector banks. And not to forget, I think the government mentioned about 2 weeks back, Shell, that they are further thinking of consolidating smaller banks into larger public sector banks.
All right, so that's on the banking front. Banks continue, of course, to be very much in focus, given the fact that we are seeing a whole spate of reforms on the public sector side, earnings action on SBI, and of course we're looking at the consumption boom driving a lot of action when it comes to some of those banking names as well. Some of the other pockets of the market where perhaps some cool off is due, metals, Gaurang, on that front, do you feel time to take a little bit off the table?
So our metals has always been a little bit of a tricky sector to trade and invest both. In fact, I won't give any comments on trading because I'm not capable of doing that. But I think the long term, if I have to look at the entire international events which are unfolding, and I think if there is going to be some decisive peace between the two largest economies, that is US and China, which we are possibly seeing some green shoots, and of course the domestic demand. Domestic demand in form of the government at the center spending for infrastructure, state government spending for infrastructure, private capex picking up, and the biggest driver for metals and cement is the revival of the real estate sector. Aabha. So you need to have a little bit of longish time horizon. Unfortunately, this sector is vulnerable to the global news flow, but whatever we've seen up till now is supportive. So likes of JSW Steel, Tata Steel, Hindustan Zinc, NMDC, Hindalco, Vedanta. These are some of the investment themes in the entire ferrous, non-ferrous metal pack that we are positive on, but purely with a long-term time horizon.
All right, so that's the metal space coming in there. Shell?
Yeah, Aabha, I think we should take a view from Gaurang on the internet space. There is a lot that's happening on, payment gateways, on platforms such as Policy Bazaar, Eternal, Swiggy. Maybe Gaurang can share the top 2 or 3 good internet plays that Geojit has fleshed out post earnings or even in their normal course of research. Aabha.
So Shell, we've seen a record spending with the festive season gone by, and of course with the help of the GST, the new Avatar 2.0. We've been maintaining a positive coverage on Policy Bazaar, PB Fintech, 197 Communication, that is of course Paytm. The new age technology stocks, other than that, includes Nokia as well as Eternal, which was earlier known as Zomato. And our sense is that fingerprints, footprints, whatever you want to call it, clicks are going to increase over here. And I think the way the Gen Z is spending, and along with it, of course, the ease of doing business or ease of making payment is concerned, I think Paytm recorded the largest number, if I'm not mistaken, during the festive season in terms of clicks or hits, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to take it to the next level as we go further into the semi-urban rural India along with technology. So, and of course, not to forget the ease of making payment via UPIs for platforms like Paytm, etc., is going to grow further. So we remain positive on all these 4 stocks that I mentioned from a long-term point of view.
All right, we're just scanning down to open. And let's take a look at really just the opening bell. Few seconds left to go, so let's keep an eye on the index first in terms of where we're opening up. Let's just count down to that. Just recapping for you overnight action as well. Some amount of profit booking on the back of heightened valuations. Pre-open, we've actually moved into the green. So all of the positive manifestation from Shell and Gaurang definitely working this morning. And we're moving into the green right now. It's looking steady. Remember, it's a truncated week. I guess today was a holiday, so the markets are slowly waking up and getting back into action. We should have the opening bell on your screen in a matter of seconds right now. In fact, I think those are the opening ticks that we're seeing now. So 25636, 637 as we speak on the index. Nifty Bank also looking steady, and we'll pull up some of the other gainers as well for you just as we go along in a moment. I'm going to hand across to Shell, who's got all the screens open in front of him, to just see what the opening is looking like this morning. Shell?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, a nice light shade of green on the Nifty as it bounces off from its 21-day moving averages, 52 points higher. Nifty Bank up a bit, 70 points higher. IT index taking the lead. Overall, if you look at as far as markets are concerned, the advanced decline ratio is 1200 shares in the green versus 1000 in the red, so that's pretty okay. You have the auto index taking the lead, FMCG following suit, PSU banking shares in top form, and the broader NSE 500 also in the green. This is what the status is at the moment. If you look at the new winners as far as markets are concerned, new highs, you have City Union Bank, State Bank of India, BPCL and Laurus Labs. These are the fresh highs in the market as far as the early signals are concerned, and strong move coming into Reddington, 7.5% higher, 270. Hospital chain Metropolis, 3% higher. There is a bit of profit booking on delivery on very high volumes. Keep an eye out on that, 7% lower, 450. And it's FMCG all the way. Britannia, Asian Paints, Indian Hotels, Berger Paints, all in the green. Aabha.
Decent start. Gaurang, it's interesting what's happening with paint stocks this morning. And Britannia, 5% up.
So I think, what a lot of people on the street was anticipating that from 23rd of September, that is day after the new GST Avatar 2.0 was implemented, FMCG companies would report fantastic numbers. Now, one has to be a little bit realistic, Aabha. This is a process, a long drawn process, and our sense is that, starting this month, that is November onwards, the ground level green shoots have started to appear in terms of the benefits of the new GST 2.0. This is going to further translate into a more stronger positivity as far as consumption is concerned. And that would result into your, top line numbers getting impacted positively. And with the operational efficiencies and the input costs coming down, the net profit margins are going to improve. One thing always I strongly believed, Aabha, is that India was a consumption-driven economy. India is and India will always remain a consumption-driven economy. 140 crore plus population and affordability now getting even more comfortable levels via direct cash transfer benefits to the semi-urban rural folks who are associated with agri activity, and thanks to good monsoon, their spending capacity has gone up. I remain extremely positive on names like Britannia, Nestle, HUL, ITC, Tata Consumer, Godrej Consumer, Dabur, Marico from a long-term point of view. And I think the top line and bottom line is going to be driven by demand that is going to rise from semi-urban rural India.
Okay, a whole host of stocks that we're seeing buzzing this morning. Indraprastha Medical, 5% higher. Shipping Corporation, 5% higher as well. So we started off talking about the broader markets and all the action there, and clearly visible this morning. Gaurang, have you looked at some of these names? They're pretty decent stocks. Indraprastha Medical, Shipping Corporation. Any views on either or both of these?
So, Aabha, unfortunately, I don't want to go into stock specific because currently we don't have coverage in either shipping related companies or port logistically. But let me give you a brief. I think under Bharatmala Pariyojana, you have a great ground level work in terms of road connectivity and dedicated freight corridors. Along with that, I think India has a long coastline. Unfortunately, we've not been able to develop our coastline and our ports to that extent. Sagarmala Pariyojana along with Bharatmala Pariyojana are the two themes that the government is strongly implementing at ground level. Improving the existing capacity of container handling in the ports which are currently there and modernizing them. And along with that, improving connectivity via Sagarmala and building new ports. So I think all your strong companies, whether it is associated with port logistics or container logistics companies, or it is to do with shipping companies, I think the port logistic or container handling companies would tend to do much better compared to the companies associated with the shipping industry. And of course, for shipping industry, I think one of the guiding factor or lighthouse is the Baltic Index, which has been at an elevated level for some time because of the issues related to in the Middle East and of course the kind of attacks that are happening. But I think port logistic companies should do well in terms of new capacities coming up.
All right, so that's what's happening there. Shell, I think you've got a few others that you're spotting as well.
Yeah, Aabha, there is a lot of activity that's happening in the small cap space. When you look at top performers here, you see a lot of interest coming into Bajaj Consumer. This is again the FMCG space that is doing pretty well. You have a strong move coming into Laurus Labs. This is at a fresh record high. And I think two stocks that have always been Gaurang's favorites, maybe you can ask him, Titan and L&T. Both of them showing strong signs. Of course, L&T at a fresh record high and Titan also bulking up. Maybe he can offer a view on Titan and L&T. Aabha.
Okay, what about Laurus Labs, Gaurang? Oh, sorry. First, your view on Titan and L&T. Shall you ask Gaurang on L&T every week? Every week you ask him on L&T. So, but we'll hear it again, Gaurang. What's your view on L&T?
Shell is absolutely right. And Aabha, I honestly can't recollect for how many years we've been having a positive view on L&T, on companies like Titan. And Titan last week delivered numbers on one or two numbers reported. There was a slight miss. A lot of people on that particular day were a little bit underweight on the stock. But I said, look, companies like Titan, L&T and companies associated with defense sector or cap goods engineering, these are the sectors which will pay you from a longer period. So you need to have a longish time horizon. You can't judge your investment horizon on quarter on these companies because that will be an absolute wrong decision that you will be taking. I think half yearly or yearly comparison is fair enough for companies like L&T or for companies like Titan. And we've been positive, of course, on L&T, though it is at an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken. We'll still remain positive. It has got diversified business contributing to the balance sheet on top line and bottom line. And I think more than 80 years old company, if I'm not 75, 80 years old company established in India and has been stabilized and has been giving returns to the investors from a long-term point of view. So remain positive on L&T. Even for Titan, I think now that we are done with the festive season, you have the wedding season coming. And that should possibly have a positive impact on the numbers that are going to get reported. So long term, both are buy and hold. And I think you should do an SIP in stocks like Titan and L&T. That will be a good strategy.
All right, that makes absolute sense. I think we've got Hindalco down 6%. Let's just pull that up for you. That one's cracking a bit. I know we spoke about metals earlier, Gaurang, but if we had to get into specific stocks, where would you trim profits? Where would you stay invested? Hindalco today is seeing quite a knock.
Well, so this must be because of some news item which I'm not aware of, Aabha, but we remain positive on, and in fact, aluminium and zinc. These are the two ferrous, non-ferrous related commodities which are likely to do well in terms of the demand and the supply and the price. Hindalco, Vedanta, JSW Steel, Tata Steel, NMDC, Hindustan Zinc are investment ideas from our side from long-term point of view. And like I mentioned, don't have 1.5 year kind of time horizon on metals sector if you eventually decide to invest in them. Have at least 2.5 year plus to really get a decent return from your investment.
Okay, Arthur Energy, let's pull up that one as well, down 10%. I'm also looking up if there's any news that's possibly driving this kind of reaction on the stock. Sales numbers were pretty decent, record high a few weeks ago. Gaurang, any idea what's happening here? Or Shell, would you see any possible trigger? 10% down today or 7% right now? Gaurang, let me come to you on it first.
I think it would be earnings led.
Okay. Sorry.
Let me
Go ahead,
just
Shell.
let me just say, I think it's earnings led. Just give me a moment, maybe by which time Gaurang can comment on how the company is performing. Just a moment. No, there are no quarterly results that would have driven this performance. Just a moment. Let me check this. No, there are no quarterly results. Must be some news-led event, but again, the top traded counter 6.5% lower on the NSE. Any idea, Gaurang?
Shall I'm at total loss, honestly. I mean, we don't track this company, so difficult for me.
Okay, that's Arthur. Then we've got, all right. Let's take a look at some of the others. We've got some buzz in the mid-cap space as well. Shell, which are the ones that you're tracking? I'm seeing a whole host of them. And then we'll go to Gaurang on some of these names as well. Some of the auto ancillary names, I think, as well.
Yeah. Yes, the mid-cap space, it's been in top shape for the moment. Gaurang has discussed Paytm, the top gainer on the Nifty mid-cap 100, 3.5% higher. Consumer stocks doing amazingly well, Aabha. Blue Star, this is an air conditioner maker, 2.5% higher. 1957, no stopping Ashok Leyland. This is a view that Gaurang has held for a very, very long time on this multi-bagger. 143.4, 2.1% higher. APL Apollo Tubes, strong traction coming in on technical charts, 1.2% higher, 1800. And of course, two-wheeler favorites, Gaurang has another passion, which is bikes, 1.1% higher, 5366 Aabha. This is the action as far as mid-caps are concerned on the long side.
All right, what about pharma, Gaurang? Let's pull up Laura Slabs. That one's moving, but I mean, I'd love your view on anything that you're looking at in the pharma pack. I know it's usually a segment that people keep a slice off and more as sort of a risk-off kind of investment. But there has been some amount of cautious exploration on some of these counters, particularly given, again, what's happening on exports and so forth.
So I think unfortunate part from the Trump administration, Aabha, is that he makes a statement and then comes the clarification after a long drawn period. And this is a sad state of affair. Having said that, we remain positive on the entire pharma universe, and we include not only manufacturing companies but also services companies. For example, healthcare, hospitals, for example, diagnostic related sectors. And I think all three are very closely related to each other. So on the pharma manufacturing side, we like names like Cipla, Sun Pharma, Natco Pharma, Gland Pharma, Aurobindo Pharma. These are some of the names in the pharma manufacturing side. In the healthcare hospitals, we are positive on Apollo Hospital, Fortis Healthcare and Max Healthcare. On the diagnostic side, we are positive on a company called Dr. Lal Path Labs. And here again, Aabha, India was, India is, and India will always remain a pharmacy to the world. And I don't think that this can be taken away in the next 3, 5, 10 years. The kind of capability, capacity we have, the kind of R&D we have, and the kind of knowledge and the technology we have, I think that's way superior when it comes to any kind of next 5-year, 10-year competition coming and giving us a tough time.
Okay, a few other small caps. We got Novama moving today, Cholamandalam. We've got Reddington, I think, as well. Not Cholamandalam so much, but I think we've got Reddington moving, International Gems. We've got some of these really Garden Reach and Shipping. So some of these very small cap names that are also seeing some good amount of price action coming in today. So that's on the small cap index. Auto continues to be in focus, of course, given recent sales numbers and new launches slated as well. Maruti, of course, continues to also be in the front runner there, Gaurang, with a spate of news coming out in terms of sales numbers, launches, etc. What's your view on Maruti currently?
So I think they reported stellar set of numbers with the festive season, and of course the pent up demand which was holding up for almost about 45 odd days since the time Honorable Prime Minister made an announcement of benefits to a common man. Uh, New launches in the next couple of months, and going into the new financial year 2026, we will have many more launches coming through. We've heard statements from Mr. Bhargava in terms of his focus at entry level and mid sedan level, where the demand traction is going to grow by almost about 10% plus. So remain positive on Maruti. I'm sorry I didn't answer Shell's question in terms of M&M. I think you or Shell asked me about M&M with Titan. If I'm not, extremely positive on M&M with the kind of numbers that they have delivered, and of course the kind of product profile that they have, Aabha. So auto sector remains to be in the spotlight for all the good reasons.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll leave it there. I know that Shell could go through many, many more stocks in the broader markets, but I think we'll be happy with the green on the Nifty, even if it's slight, and we'll touch base again with you next week, Goran. Thanks so much for joining us, and do stay with us for programming on BTTV through the day. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. You're watching this newest edition of What's Hot on our channel Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and